Okay, so the next drawer, this is my bronzer powder contour drawer. So not a ton, but still I know there's several things in here that I am going to declutter. Well, I don't know if several is the right word, but a few things that I am going to declutter. And I'm going to clean this drawer out because it looks filthy. Okay, so I kind of cleaned my drawer out. It's still not perfect, but it's better. Let me kind of organize here. Okay, so let's just start with this palette that looks completely gross, but yeah, it is what it is. I remember getting this and it being all new and fresh and pretty, but now it's just disgusting. But this is my Anastasia contour kit. I've had this forever, and I don't use it every day, obviously, because it would be gone, but I do use it a lot, and I still really like it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to keep it. You can pop the pans out, but this palette is like falling apart, so I would never like, if I ran out, like get pans and put them back in this palette, I would just buy a fresh palette to put it in because it's like falling apart. But I do still like it and use it, so definitely keeping that. Plus it was a Valentine's Day gift from my hubby. So this is the e.l.f. Contour palette, which is actually a really good dupe for the Anastasia one. I use this as much as I do that one, and I really like it, so I'm going to keep that as well. Okay, so this is the Airspun Loose Face Powder in Luminous Translucent. And the more I do makeup, the less I like to just powder down my entire face. I've really been liking setting sprays because it seems like I can use less powder and still set my makeup. And this kind of has a luminous look to it, which I was into for a hot minute. If you get on my Instagram, you'll see that I use this a lot. But it's, oops, and it's so messy. It just got everywhere. But it's just got to where I wasn't loving the way this made my skin look. I still really like the regular translucent one, and if you are into setting powders or you have oily skin, I highly recommend it. But my skin just keeps getting drier and drier as I get older, so I've just not been as into powder. So I'm going to pass this along and give it to somebody. Maybe Autumn. I don't know. Autumn, do you have dry skin or oily skin? I don't remember what you said. I think you said dry, but I don't know. We'll see. My friend Sue might like this. I don't know. I'll pass this on and see if any of them want it. So next I have this Japanese powder, and it's almost gone. I still have a little bit left, so I am going to finish this up. It's not something I would repurchase, but I am going to use it since I have it. Same with the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless. It's almost gone as well. I've been liking pressed powders more lately because it seems like it doesn't give me as powdery of a look. Not this one's still not my favorite, but like I said, I have it, so I will use it up. One thing I'm going to declutter, I've had this forever and a day. This is the Hard Candy bronzer in Heat Wave, and it's a pretty bronzer, but it's very, very gold and shimmery, and I don't know, I've just not been as into that lately. I've been into more of matte bronzers, but I have a feeling one of my friends will like this. It's not a bad bronzer at all. I've used it a ton, and still every once in a while I'll grab it and use it, but it's just not something that I'm worried about keeping. I don't use it enough to keep. Next, this is the Wet n Wild Color Icon bronzer in Ticket to Brazil, and it's a shimmery bronzer too, and it's very similar to Heat Wave, only not as intense. So I'm decluttering that one and going to keep this one. Okay, this is my Wet n Wild contouring palette in Dolce de Leche. It's my favorite contour palette. I love the powder for setting under my eyes, and the light powder to set under my eyes, and the contour shade, obviously, to contour. And I actually have a backup already, so I'm definitely keeping both of these. This one's on its last legs, but I can still use it. There's enough to still use, so I am going to hold on to it until it's just not you know, usable anymore. Next is this butter bronzer, and this is actually my mom's. If you notice, I borrow a lot of her stuff. I have been wanting to try this for a really long time, And my cousin Deidre, I've mentioned you like 1,000 times, Deidre, but you're awesome. She sent this to my mom, and I'd been wanting to try it for a long time, so my mom is letting me try it and use it. And I will probably, so far I really like it. I've only tested it once or twice, but I think I am going to purchase it for myself because I do really like it. Okay, and the same with this. This is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Pressed Powder in Cocoa, and this is another thing my cousin Deidre had sent. And this actually makes a fantastic contour. And my mom, she just gave this to me because she had other contour powders that she preferred, and I'm actually really liking this. It's a whole lot like the Dulce de Leche, only just in the single compact contour shade. So I really like that, and I may, like I said, I'm just testing it out, and I may end up repurchasing that one. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, I need a better way to store my stuff, like compacts, like a little something to keep them in, because they're really hard just to sit out like this. But you know, that's the best I've got. So I didn't get rid of a ton in that drawer. Would I get rid of 2 products? But I liked everything else, so why get rid of it, right? Okay, so next is definitely my most crowded drawer, and this is my blushes and highlights. And now that I have an empty drawer up here, I will probably separate these again because it's just a little bit crowded. Okay, so let me empty this out and clean the drawer out. Okay, so I'm going to designate this drawer for blush and the other drawer that I have for highlight, because they're just getting too crowded having them together. And now that I have an empty drawer, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so let me just start with this one. This is the Pro Fusion Studio Blush Palette. It's one of my favorites. I got it at TJ Maxx for like $4. I love every blush in this palette. They are amazing. I'm actually wearing this one here today, but if you can find this, definitely pick it up because it's amazing. Okay, this was actually in my favorites for this month, and it's the Gwen Stefani Urban Decay Blush Palette. This is limited edition, so I'm sorry if you can't get your hands on this. It's amazing, but I'm definitely not getting rid of it because, like I said, it's one of my favorites. Okay, let's see. Okay, so next I have the e.l.f. Blush Palette in Dark. Oh, goodness. I never can get this one open. For some reason, it is so stubborn. The other one I have no trouble with. Okay. These are very dark blushes. Sorry, I'm not trying to blind you. They are very pigmented, but very easily blended out. I don't know, I just think they're very pretty, and I do use them quite often, so I am going to hang on to that. Look at my hand, it's just like covered in crap. I have a choo-choo train going by. Okay, next, this is the other blush palette, and this one is in Light. And they're still pretty vibrant colors, just not quite as dark as the other ones. Again, I really like this, so I'm going to hang on to it as well. Oh, if that would fit there, that would be like perfect. Oh well, I'll just stack them. Okay, so next I have this e.l.f. bronzer blush duo in Saint Lucia. And this is a pretty popular e.l.f. product. It was very popular for a while. I love the blush, not so much the bronzer. It's got too much glitter in it for me, but I do. That's why it's in my blush drawer. But the blush is a very pretty, just like everyday color, not too bright or too dark. So I do like this, and I'm going to hang on to it for a while. One of my favorite blushes is the e.l.f. Mellow Mauve. Just a very good everyday blush, very pretty, goes with basically everything. So I am going to hang on to this one as well. Next is this Hard Candy blush in Living Doll. It's a baked blush, and honestly, I mean, it's pretty. It's very glowy. I don't know if you can see that or not. I feel like I'm not in focus real well. Okay. But it's a very pretty blush, but honestly, I just never reach for it, and it's like new. I mean, you can tell I've not used it very much, and it's not that it's not pretty. It just doesn't stand out to me. I don't think it has enough pigment for me. It's very glowy, but it's not very pigmented. But I think that maybe Autumn would really like this, so I'm going to give this to her if she wants it. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is an e.l.f. Baked Blush in Rich Rose, and again, I never can get this one open. I'm sorry if that train is driving you nuts. It will pass, I promise. This is a very bronzy blush, and I use this on days when I just want a very like sun-kissed, glowy look without a whole lot of like color on my cheeks. So I really like that, and I use this one a lot, so definitely gonna keep it. I have this NYX blush in Cinnamon, and I used to wear this one all the time. I used it for a little DIY project. I don't really know what I was doing, but I used to wear this one a lot. But honestly, I just have other peachy colors, like the one in this palette right here is very similar, only not as dark. And I think there's some in the e.l.f. palettes too that's probably very close. So I don't really need this one, so I'm going to pass it along. This is the Japanesque Velvet Touch Blush in shade 4, and I love it. This is the most purpley tone blush I have, and I wear this anytime I want, you know, a more purple cool toned look. I don't do cool toned looks often, but when I do, I always grab that blush. Okay, let's see. Next, I have this Kat Von D blush in, you know what, Por Vida, I think is what it says. It's like wore off. But it's almost gone actually. I think I want to hold on to this and try to use this up because it's a very pretty color, and I think I just never reach for it because it's almost gone for some reason, but it is very pretty, so I think I am going to hold on to it and try to finish that one up. Next, I have this Minnie Mouse blush from Sephora in the shade Minnie's Inner Glow, and it's just a very pretty peachy glowy blush. I don't use it a lot because I'm sad about her disappearing. I have used it several times. It is very pretty. It's very, actually, you know, it's very close to this one in this e.l.f. palette. Let me swatch them side by side. I don't know if you can tell, but there they are side by side. And the one in the e.l.f. palette is a little bit brighter. So I think I am going to go ahead and keep both because I don't like to use this one too much because I'm going to be sad whenever it's gone. Okay, next I have this Becca blush in Nightingale, and it is gorgeous. It is so dark, but it is so pretty, and I'm definitely keeping that. And this one in Berry Plum by LA Colors is kind of a similar color. Let me actually swatch them. Berry Plum is more of a purple. That's the one right here, and then this is the Becca one. I don't think I'm going to keep this one because I do have other similar colors. I think one in my Profusion palette is almost identical. Let me swatch it. Yeah, I have other colors that's very close. So I'm going to declutter this one because I don't really use it, and one of my friends would probably like it. Okay, so this drawer is definitely a lot more organized and has a lot less in it. So yeah, plus. Now I have this empty drawer from what my lipsticks were in. So I'm just going to go through my highlights. Okay, so I have my Sleek palette, which isn't going anywhere. It's front and center. I have 3 Becca highlights. I have Moonstone. I have Rose Gold, which is more of a blush topper, but I still think it's so pretty, so I'm going to keep it. And then I have Pearl, which is Boom. And then I have this Physicians Formula Translucent Pearl. And I'm not really sure if this is supposed to be like a setting powder or a highlight or what. But it's a very pretty, like, natural highlight. I think it's right here if you can't see that. I think it's pretty for just everyday use, so I want to hold on to that. These, again, are actually my mom's. These are the Wet n Wild highlighting powders, and I'm just playing with them, basically. There's Precious Petals, and let's see, Crown of My Canopy. This one is actually a lot like the Rose Gold by Becca. But yeah, these are really pretty. And then I have this LA Colors contouring palette. I do not like this to contour because it's just, the shade is really patchy, I feel like. I don't know, I just don't really like it. But I did kind of like the highlight. But now looking at it again, it's just too yellow for me, and the bronzer is just too orange for me. But my sister, she loves this. That's why I got it. It's like her favorite highlighting palette. But she has a lot more yellow in her skin, so this probably works a lot better for her. So I'm actually just going to give this to her because she loves them. So I didn't do too good at decluttering my highlights, but I didn't really figure I would because I love the glow. But it is more organized now that I have it in a separate drawer. Okay, so lastly I have my eyeshadow palettes that was in this little fabulous container back here. And I'm probably not getting rid of any of these, but I'll still show you what I have. So first I have my Alice Through the Looking Glass palette. This is definitely a favorite. I think it was in my monthly favorites. The packaging's a little bit bulky, but overall I just love it and it's worth it. Next, I have two Z palettes, mostly full of Makeup Geek. There are a few NYX ones in here, some glitter injections. There's a Buxom one here, a Wet n Wild, and then I'm going to put that Bobbi Brown Rose Gold one that I was talking about earlier. I'm going to depot it and put it in one of these. I have this little lip kit. It's obviously not eyeshadow, but it still fits in my little thing here because it just, there's really nowhere else to put it, and it fits perfectly in this little slot, so I keep it there. Next, I have my Tarte Graveyard Girl Swamp Queen palette. I love this, love Bunny, so definitely keeping this one. I have my Urban Decay Electric palette. I actually used this shade here today. I have had this for a long time, and I just really love it when I want a pop of color, which is actually pretty often, so definitely keeping that. Next is a staple, absolute favorite. It's the Too Faced Chocolate Bar. Obviously, this has been well loved. This is definitely not going anywhere, so definitely hanging on to this. I have this Rimmel Magnifies shadow, and my cousin Deidre sent this to me. I've used it a few times, haven't really got to play with it a lot, but so far I do like it. I'll give you more of a review on it later on when I have a stronger opinion. I have this Too Faced Natural Eyes palette that my friend Autumn gave me. Love this, definitely not getting rid of it. Next, I have these LA Color palettes. I'm going to keep 3 and get rid of the one that's just the black and white and gray. This one has a black and grays in it, but it has that pop of blue. But I really don't use just a lot of black and grays, so I'll keep this one and get rid of this one. My Meet Matrimony is all just matte shadows. I use it all the time, definitely keeping it. And lastly, I have this palette by the Solo Look, and I don't use it a whole lot, but I really do like it, so keeping it. So here's everything I've decluttered. I'm pretty proud. But yeah, that's everything. I hope you all enjoyed. I will talk to you later. Bye.